Okay, thank you. So I think your midts are starting this weekend. You have to go through the complete notes, whatever we have sent you or whatever we have given you. The questions would be a bit twisted, and you have to work out with the queries. If at all you have any problems with the queries, uh, you have a class today and you have a class day after tomorrow. So if anyone specifically has any problems with writing queries in TRC, DRC, relational algebra, or MySQL, can just raise their concerns, ma. And I hope we are done with the first two units. I'll be going with the third unit today. The third unit is queries, constraints, and triggers. The third unit would be queries, constraints, and triggers would be the first part. And the second part of the third unit would be the concept of schema refinement, which already you have seen in the database design steps. So in the schema refinement, we'll be studying about different kinds of normal forms. We'll be studying different kinds of normal forms, normal form 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, all that stuff we'll be studying in schema refinement. The first part of the third unit, most of the things we have already covered. It starts off with the basic form of SQL query. The third unit starts with the basic form of SQL query. Every one of you knows that select column or set of columns from a table where a particular condition needs to be satisfied. So that is the basic form of an SQL query. You have to write that syntactically. So we have discussed that already in the second unit, where we have written some select statements, all that stuff we have worked through. Okay, so I'll be starting off with the set operations in your third unit. That's nothing but union, intersection, except, followed by the concept of aggregate operators in MySQL. Aggregate operators in MySQL. Then we'll be having a different version of a query, which is nothing but a nested query. Okay, we'll be working with all that stuff in today's class. Okay, so are you able to hear me? I don't get any response from you people. So before we start off with the first topic of your unit 3, Amma, you have any questions? I know that it's been long since you might have touched your books, but if at all you have any questions, you can just ask me. Okay, is the PPT visible for all of you? Is PPT visible, ma? Okay. We'll be starting off with the set operators. The first one is union operation. Okay, union operator. And all of you know what union is used for. I've already covered that in your relational algebra. But this we are going to work with MySQL. Okay, so whenever you want to combine the results of two or more select statements, whenever you want to combine the results of two or more select statements, then you are going to work with the concept of union operator. And see, both the tables should be union compatible. Already I've told you that both the tables, while you want to work with union, it should be union compatible. Already I've covered that in the relational algebraic part. Okay, so union is used to combine the results of two or more select statements, and it will eliminate duplicates from its result set. Okay, so whenever you use the union operation, the duplicates are eliminated. And whenever you work with union, the number of columns and data type must be the same in both the tables on which the union operation is being performed or the union is being applied. So that is the condition for union to take place. Okay. And if at all you want all the duplicates to be part of your result set, you're going to use the concept of union all. You're going to use the concept of union all. Okay. Now, working with a simple example, I have a table T1 and table T2. Okay. So in table T1, I've got ID and name, and table T2 also, I've got ID and name. So in place of table T1, ID is given as 1, 2. So I've got two rows with name and ID. And in the second table also, I've got two rows with name and ID. Now, how do I perform the union operation in MySQL would be, I have to simply use the union keyword. I have to simply use the union keyword. So select star from first. So what this particular select statement is doing is, it is trying to fetch all the details from the first table and display as a result union. Union is the operation which I want to perform between the first table and the second table. So select star from first, union, select star from second. Okay. So the first select statement is selecting details from the first table. Second select statement is fetching details from the second table. And union is performing combination of these two select statements. The resultant would be, what would be the resultant? The duplicates are eliminated whenever I use the concept of union. Okay. So 1, 2, 2, 3. What is the common thing between these two things is 2. Hence, the 2 would be only presented once. So ID would be taking 1, 2, 3, and name would be based on the ID, whatever the name is there in the table would be presented out. So this is with respect to your union. And whenever you want all the duplicates also to come in the result set, you're going to use something which is called as union all operator. Union all operator. So select star from first, union all, select star from second. So in the previous case, the resultant table had 3 rows, and in this case, the resultant table is having 4 rows, in which the value 2 is being repeated. You can clearly see over here. 2 Adam is redundant. So that is the use of your union all. Whenever you want duplicates to be existing in the result set, you're going to work with union all. And whenever you want duplicates to be eliminated in the result set, you're going to work with union. That is the concept of union. Okay. Next, working with intersect. The second one is intersect. Intersect operation is used to combine 2 select statements, but it only returns the records which are common to both the result statements, which are common to both the resultant statements, which is nothing but both the select statements that are used in the intersection operator. Okay. And again, you have to see that the number of columns, the data types, everything should be same with respect to the tables on which you're performing intersection operation. Okay. And I've clearly told you, Amma, MySQL does not support the concept of intersect operator. Rather, you're going to work with the concept of joins. You're going to work with the concept of joins. And whenever you want to work with intersect operator, this is the syntax which you need to follow, which throws an error. Which throws an error in MySQL. So select star from first table, intersect, select star from second table. So n number of times you're writing the statement, it would be giving you an error because intersection is not supported. And the result of this query would be the common fields that are existing. Sorry, it's not the fields, the common rows that are existing between the 2 tables, or the common output which is coming with respect to select of each of the table. So 2 is common between the 2 select statements. Hence, I'm getting an output as 2, Adam. ID is 2, name is Adam with respect to intersect operator. So while we are working with the concept of joins in your MySQL, I would be telling you how I think I've already told you this, when I was talking about relational algebra, which is the join which is used to perform intersection operation. And if not, again, we'll be just covering that when I deal with joins. Okay. Is it clear? Intersect and union, any problem with both the things? I see only Surya in the class. No one else is in the class. Everyone is in vacation mode. All of you. Any problems with these 2 operators, ma? Okay, fine. The next one is except clause, EXCEPT. And this returns the tuples that are written by the first select statements and not written by the second select statement. Okay. So this is used to return those tuples that are written by the first select statement and not written by the second select operation. So whenever you're working with a small example, you will easily understand that. Assume that we have 2 relations. The first one is the student's relation, this particular part, which consists of student ID, name, and course. The student table is highlighted over here. And the student ID is given by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Clearly see this now. Okay. Student ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next table is teaching assistant. The students who are teaching assistants. Okay. Now this is the second table which is highlighted. So the first column is student ID. Second column is name. The third column is course. Okay. And here the teaching assistants are with IDs 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, if at all I'm interested in finding out the details of students who are not teaching assistants, I'm interested in finding out the details of the students who are not teaching assistants. Then I use the concept of except clause over here. Try to understand the query. I'm interested in the details of finding the students who are not teaching assistants. So see, select name from students except select name from TA. That is nothing but teaching assistant. So select name from students except select name from teaching assistants. So I'm interested in only the names that are present in student apart from the names that are present in the teaching assistant. Okay. Now try to understand here, ma. Here I've got Kevin, Sita, Manik, and Rekha. I'm going with respect to names over here. Kevin, is Kevin over here? Yes, Kevin is here. So I cannot include this Kevin over here. Then I've got Sita. Sita is not here, not an issue. Manik is there. Manik is not there. Rekha is here. So apart from Kevin and Rekha, what are all the other names that are present in the student table would be coming out. So that is nothing but Rohan, Mansi, and Megha. Rohan, Mansi, and Megha. Okay. And in order to retain duplicates, we must explicitly write except all instead of except. Okay. And again, the problem would be except is also not supported in your MySQL. We have to use the concept of not in for this purpose. So what is not in? I'll be telling you in the coming classes. But you have to try to understand as many keywords as possible because this would be working in other databases. Okay, so to retain the duplicates, you're going to work with except all instead of except over here. Is it clear, ma? The concept of except, is it clear, all of you? Any problems with except? Okay. So whenever I'm working with not in clause, I'll be explicitly giving you the syntax for working with not in and what is the difference between except and not in class. Okay. Now, before we actually go to not in and all the other stuff, I'll be working with one more interesting set operator, which is nothing but in operator. So the SQL in operator. Okay. The in operator allows you to specify multiple values in a where clause. In operator allows you to specify multiple values in a where clause, and it is generally called as a shorthand for multiple OR conditions. So whenever you feel that there are lots of conditions to be checked with respect to the logical OR operator, then in place of the OR operator, you can use the concept of in operator. And the syntax for in would be, see here, select column names from table name, where column name in value 1, value 2, value 3, so on. So you are interested in finding out the details from a particular table where a specific column is present in a list of values given. Then you're going to use the concept of in operator. Okay. Or you can even work with a select statement within an in operator. Okay. So select column names from table name, where column name in one more select statement based on the condition you're going to work with in the where clause. Okay. And one of the simple example I've written over here is select star from student table where ID in 1, 2, 3. So I'm interested in finding out or displaying the details of students whose ID is either 1 or 2 or 3. So the same select statement using the concept of logical OR, I would be writing this way: select star from student where ID is equal to 1 or ID is equal to 2 or ID is equal to 3. So this way I would be using the concept of logical OR. But in order to make it simple, I can use the concept of in operator. So see, I'll be just working with a small example over here. Use CSC. Okay, so I'm working with a person table which was already created in the previous sessions. Now see, I want to display the details of persons whose person ID is 1. Okay, so what I'll do here is select star from persons where person ID in 1. So this way I'm able to get the details whose person ID is 1 using the concept of in operator. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just try to include one more row into the table. Insert into persons values 2, comma, some HYD I'm writing, comma, first name is sick, bad, comma, age is 33. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I have modified the table values so that I'm getting 3 rows. Okay, now I'm interested in the details of persons whose values, whose person ID is 1 and 22. Now what I'll do, person ID in 1, comma 22. So I'll be getting 2 rows. The same query I can write this way also. Without using the concept of in, I can say person ID is equal to 1 or person ID is equal to 22. I'm getting the same result for both the cases. So whichever keyword you want to use, you can use. You can use logical OR operator. You can use in operator. But whenever the conditions are increasing, maybe the conditions that you need to check increases, then you can go with the concept of person ID. Now, what I can do with this is I can even add 2 over here. So I'll get all the 3 rows. And in the previous case, what you have to do is, again, you have to write or PERSON person ID is equal to 2. You're getting the same result, 3. Okay, so this is about your in operator in your MySQL. Is it clear, ma? Any issues with in, ma? I have given clear working with MySQL with respect to in operator. Any problems with union, intersection, except in, ma? All of you, please respond. Okay. So both these things return the same result now. Okay, now you have something which is called as auto increment. So whenever you do not want to specifically give a value for each insert operation, but you want that value to be incremented, then you're going to use a keyword called as auto increment. So it is applied on columns, and whenever you apply auto increment on a particular column, whenever you apply auto increment on a particular column, then the column value would be incremented by 1 each time a new record or new tuple is being inserted into a table. Each time you insert a new record into a table. And you can also say that a primary key value can also be auto incremented. Now, how you are going to work with that would be, you have to work with auto increment in the create statement. Create statement. So I'm taking an example of create table persons. Person ID is integer, which is not null. And again, I'm specifying one more condition, which is nothing but auto increment. And last name, variable character, 255 is the size. Again, it's not null. Then I've got first name, variable character, 255. So it can take a null value. I did not put any condition over there. Age is integer. And again, the primary key is person ID. Okay. Now, I'll create the same table. I'll name this as persons 1 because already person table is existing. Okay, now I'm going to create the same table using the concept of auto increment. Okay, already the table is created. Right, I've entered whatever I've written over there. Describe persons 1. Now see, there is an extra field for person ID. The type of the column is integer. Nulls are not allowed. Is it a key? Yes, it's a primary key. And any extra arguments until now, maybe we did not see. Now this particular column is specified as auto increment. Okay. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to enter a value, a record into this particular table. Insert into persons 1 values. Last name, first name, comma, age. Values, I'll say Anand, Kumar, Kumar, age is 22. See here, Amma, I'm only entering 3 values into the table. The table had 4 columns, one of which is a primary key. And all of you know that primary does not support the concept of null values. Okay, you cannot leave a primary key empty. But here, primary key, I'm trying to leave it as empty. Now, once I enter this, query, okay, 1 row affected. So even though I did not enter any value for the primary key attribute, it is accepting because that particular field has been taken as auto increment, which would be automatically adding a number. Now what I'll do is select star from persons 1. Now see, So the default value starts with 1. Because 1 is not existing in the person ID table, it will start from 1. Now, whenever I want to enter one more field, I'll say here, Sham Lal. The age is 32. Again, I'm entering. Now, what will happen? The person ID value is taken as auto increment. So what will happen? The person ID value will increase by 1. Okay. Select star from persons 1. The ID would be 2. Now what I'll try to do is, again, I'll enter 4 values. Instead of 3, I'll try to enter 4 values. Here I'll start with person ID, comma. I'll say 22, comma, Ramesh Kumar, age is 18. Enter. Select star from persons 1. Okay, 22 has come. Now, Hari, Hara, Pal. Now, again, I'm inserting 3 values. Entered, query, okay. What would be the value of person ID for this particular row? Please put it on the chat. What would be the value for person ID for the 4th row created? What would be the value of person ID for the 4th row created? So Dharan has written 3. How would that be 3, Dharan? 23. Okay. Now try to understand this. I'm using the select statement. What is the new value of person ID? All of you can see this. The answer is 23 because I've clearly told you, Amma, every time you insert a new record into a table, it would increment the value of that particular field by 1. So what was the previous value? For that, 1 would be added. Yeah, you can give an initial value for an ID. From there, it would be starting with the next value. But see, whenever you are using the concept of auto increment, we can go with a serial number. That would be the best thing. That would be the best thing because for every time I might not be remembering the serial number. So by default, if at all I don't enter the serial number, it would be auto incremented by 1. So in that case, you can go with it. You cannot use that. You can use it for a primary key, but that won't be a perfect option. Just in order to explain, I've gone with the primary key. So even you can work with auto increment using a primary key. I hope it's clear, what is auto increment? How does the value increment with respect to the field of an auto incremented column? Is it okay? Right. The next is aggregate operators. This is the simplest and most important topic while you're working with practicals. It has come as long answer question many times for your JNTU. Okay, so it's very simple. So it is used for performing calculations on multiple rows of a table. Okay, and usually you work on a single column. Usually you work on a single column, and you can work with all the columns for some of the cases. And whenever you're performing aggregate operators, it would be returning you a single value as a resultant. It would be returning you a single value as a resultant. And it is usually used to produce summarized data for our database. It is generally used to provide or produce summarized data for our database. Okay, and the different kinds of aggregate functions are aggregate operators also you can say, aggregate functions you can say. The first one is count, the second one is sum, average, min, max. So you're not going to write any particular code for all these functions. Rather, you're going to perfectly utilize these functions in order to find the count, find the sum, find the average, find the min value, find the max value, as we have done in our string functions now. I hope you might be remembering trimming operations, uppercase, lowercase, all that stuff. These are similar to that, in the way that you're not going to write any code for this. Okay, now see, the first one is the count function. It returns the total number of values in the specified field. So the count function returns the total number of values in the specified field. And it is used on both numerical and non-numerical data types. So I told you, you can work with single column and multiple columns. Here, count star is a special implementation of the count function that returns the count of all the rows in the specified table. So whenever you are interested in the complete table as a whole, you can use count star. And whenever you are interested in finding only with respect to a specific column, you can use that particular column. Okay. Now, I have taken an example over here, a table T1, ID, name, salary. IDs are 1 to 6, names are A to F, salary is 80, 40, 60, 70, 60, and null. One of the fields over there is null. Okay. Now, how does the count work? So see, count of salary, count of salary. What is the count of salary? How many values are existing in the field of salary? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the resultant would be given as 5 because it is only interested in non-null values. So it returns the number of non-null values with respect to the salary field. Okay. Now, you can even modify this count with using the concept of distinct. So distinct is used in displaying the distinct values of a given column. Now, whenever you write distinct, it is only interested in counting the number of non-distinct values. It is only interested in finding out the distinct values from a particular column. Okay, I'll just show you with an implementation. What was the table I used? Okay. So all of you look over here, Amma, the count function. Select star from T1. Okay, how many rows are there? 7 rows are there. So I just want to find out how many rows are existing in that particular table. So select count of ID from T1. So see, it is giving you 7 because 0 is not equal to null. 0 is also taken as a value. Select count of ID from T1. You can modify this to star also, it will work. Count of star from T1. It's the same thing. I'll try to take one more table. Select star from first. Okay, see. The same table, whatever I've given over there. Now try to understand, ma. See, select count of salary should return you 5 answer. Select count of salary from CUST. So C5. Because there is a null value in the salary table and null is not counted. So it returns you 5. And instead of that, if at all I say select count of star, it will give me 6 because there are 6 rows in the complete table. The value would be 6. Now, again, I'll be using select count of distinct salary. It would be giving me 4 instead of 5 because 60 is repeated twice over there. Hence, it is giving me 4. I hope it's clear for you, Amma, the concept of count. Now, if at all I want to say, I want to count the different names, I can write over here name. Even though it's a character data type, it will work. 6. Because all the 6 names have been entered into the field there. Hence, it gives me a value 6. Okay. Now, the second function is sum. So whenever you want to display the sum of values of a particular column, then you can use the sum function. So we can use the MySQL sum function, which returns the sum of all the values in the specified column. It usually works with numerical fields, because you cannot sum up character data. So it works on numerical fields. Now, as an example, I'll work with sum. Select sum of salary from CUST. So 310 it's giving me. The value is written as 310. Okay. Now the same thing what I'll try to do is distinct salary. In order to show that I can even work with multiple things, I'm just trying to work with that. It is giving me 250. Because 60 is repeated over there, I'm trying to remove 60 from 310. It is giving you 250. Okay. So this is about the sum function. Sum of salary. Okay. Next, average. So average function returns the average of the values in the specified column. So whenever you are interested in finding out the average of a particular field or particular attribute of a table, you use the average function. And just as you have worked with the sum function, average is also used with numerical data types. Okay. Now, select AVG of salary from. So maybe I'm interested in finding out the details of the average salary that is given to a person. Then I can use the concept of average. So what I need not sum up all the things and divide by the count. Rather, I can directly work with a function called AVG. Again, you can use distinct over here. The same way you can use distinct of salary from customer. Okay. Next, you have min. The min function returns the smallest value in the specified table field. So select min of, what is the minimum salary that is given to a from customer? So minimum is 40, and then I've got something called as maximum, which returns the maximum value from a given list of values. The 40 is the minimum and 80 is the maximum. So see here, the min function returns the smallest value in the specified table field. Okay, so min of salary, that is what I've written over there. Select min of salary from student, and then you have got a max function. Max function, just as the name suggests, the max function returns the largest value from a specified table field. And for your knowledge, MySQL supports all the 5 aggregate functions. And out of these, sum and average functions work on numerical data. And if at all you are interested in eliminating duplicate values from the aggregate functions, you use the distinct keywords. Already we have used that. Okay. Now the next would be logical operators. Logical operators, all of you know there are 3 different kinds of logical operators. They are logical AND, logical OR, logical NOT. So whenever you are interested in working with complex conditions, or whenever you are interested in working with more than one condition, compulsory conditions or optional conditions. Whenever it is compulsory conditions, you are going to work with AND. Whenever it is optional conditions, you are going to work with OR. Okay, and how do you work with this? I'll just give you an example. Select star from customer. So these are the values. Now I'll see. Select star from CUSD. I'm interested in finding out the details of customers whose ID is greater than 4 and salary is greater than 60. Okay, I'm interested in finding out the details of customers whose ID is greater than 4 and the salary is greater than 60. So what I'm going to work with is select star from customer where ID greater than 4 and salary greater than 60. It is giving you an empty set. Why? Because both the conditions should be satisfied. The ID should be greater than 4 means you have got only 2 rows, 5 and 6, but the salary over there is not greater than 60. One salary is 60 and the other salary is none. So if at all I try to change this condition by 50, I'll get one tuple as an output, 5E60. Okay. Now what would be with respect to OR is either this or that. I'm writing OR over here. I'll get ID is greater than 4 or salary is greater than 5. I'll get this way. So this is the working of your logical AND, logical OR. You can write not equal to, all that stuff with respect to not mark. Yes, ma. Any questions as of now? All of you, please respond. Any questions? Is it clear, ma, all of you? Okay, just go through the PPT for 2 minutes. I'll give time so that if at all you have any questions also you can ask ma. Okay. Any problems with whatever has gone by, Ma? Any questions? Okay, fine then. I'll be going to the next topic. Working with null values. Working with null values. Okay, so a null value means unknown, Ma. Try to understand. I've told you many times. Explicitly, we are working with the concept of null values over here. Null value means which is unknown. You currently do not have any value for a particular field. Then you are making that as a null. And a null value is usually different from 0 as well as an empty string. Okay, it is not the same as 0. So wherever you want to put a 0, blindly don't put a null over there, or wherever you want to put a null, blindly don't put a 0 over there. So it is different from 0. 0 is some sort of value. Null is something which is unknown to you. That is the only difference. Okay. Generally, you use the null value to indicate that the data is missing, unknown, or not applicable. So whenever these three kinds of things arise while you're trying to fill up a value, then you say that that particular field value would be null. Okay. For example, the phone number of a potential customer may be null and can be added later. So sometimes what happens is whenever I'm trying to fill customers' information, a customer might not be using a mobile. It is rare, but there are chances that he might not be using a mobile. So in that situation, since he does not have a mobile number with him, I can put that as null. It's not 0, null. And whenever that particular customer is taking a mobile number, I can replace that null by the current mobile number he is using. Okay. And whenever you create a table, you can specify whether a column accepts null values or not by using the not null constraint. Already when we were talking about constraints, integrity constraints over relations, we have talked about not null. So whenever you feel that a particular value of a particular field cannot take a null value, you have to explicitly specify that particular column as not null. You have to explicitly specify that particular column as not null. And how we are going to work with that? Again, it's already known to you, but I'm again giving you a small example of working with null and not null. So ID, I'm working with a table called lead Shama, who is a team leader. ID of the team leader, ID, integer, it is integer, auto increment primary key. Already we have seen in the auto increment case, I can work with this. ID is the column name, integer, auto increment primary key. Then I've got first name, varchar 50, not null. So this particular first name of leads cannot take a null value. That is the reason I'm putting it as not null. Then last name, variable character 50. Again, that cannot be not null. Okay. Source, varchar 255, not null. Email, varchar 100. This particular field can accept null values. And then I've got something which is called as phone number, which is variable character 25. Again, it can accept null values. I'm just trying to create this table. Okay, already table created, right? Describe LEADS, leads. So try to find this. See, in the first 4 cases, null was not allowed. It is clearly mentioned over here. ID is integer, null is not allowed. First name variable character 50, null is not allowed. And only in the last two fields, which is nothing but email and phone number, I have taken something which is called as null. So I'll just try to enter the values over here. Insert into leads values 1, comma, null, comma, null, null, 11, sorry, email it is. I'm taking something ss@ss.com. There's no checking, so I can write whatever I want. Phone number is 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it's giving you an error because I'm putting null for the fields which do not accept null values. And instead of that, if at all I work with a value A, S, I'll say B. What is the problem? Okay, SS is not working. Oh, it's a variable character, sorry. Okay, it is accepting. Fine. Now here what I'll do is, I'll take 2. See, column first name cannot be null. Because I have explicitly taken that as not null, I cannot say or I cannot give a value null to that. But instead of that, I can give the other one as null. I'll say this is A, and here I can write it as null. It's accepted. Okay, select star from leads. See, in the place of phone number, I've got null. But all the other fields apart from email and phone number cannot take null values. That is the concept of working with your null values. Okay, then here explicitly whatever I have done with respect to the syntax of the table, I've written over there. The first name, last name, and source column use the not null constraints. Hence, you cannot insert any null values. You can use a null value in the insert statement to specify that data is missing. That is what I have done while I was inserting data. Okay. Fine. You can work with null in updates also, Amma. See, update leads set phone is equal to null where ID is equal to 3. I can do that also. I can perform an update operation using the concept of null. So I can work with null values, or I can work with placing a null value in a particular field which allows the concept of nulls in the update statement also. And whenever you want to test for nulls, you're not going to directly use equal to. Rather, you're going to use something called as is null or is not null. So you use the is null or is not null operator in the where clause. So what I'll do is, I want to find the details of the leads whose phone is null. So select star from leads their phone is null. I'm getting only one row because there's only one row which has phone as null. And if at all I'm interested in finding out the details of the leads who have given a phone number, what I'll do is phone is not null. I'll get the details of the customers. So if at all you're writing like this, phone is equal to null, you're getting an empty set. So try to understand. Even though I have a particular row where the phone number is null, I'm not getting, if at all I put equal to that. So whenever you're trying to work with null operators, try to use is null or is not null using the following syntax. Select star from leads where phone is null. Select star from leads where email is not null. So this way you're going to work with the null operator. Okay. Is it clear, ma? Any problems with working with nulls? All of you? Is it clear? Okay then, any questions in today's class, ma? Any questions in today's class? Okay, then I'll start off the activity.